Hey everyone, this is Chris Cowan at the Bujikan Butoku Dojo in Fremont, California. I'm outside late at night working on a project. Um, that project basically being talking about Shuko. Um, so we also, and then we have the one for the feet. We used to back in the 70s and 80s refer to as Ashiko or Soko, ones for the feet. But for right now, we're going to look at Shuko for the hands. Okay. One of my main things that I would like to talk about is something that's not really addressed. This is Kuden. Someya Sensei brought this up in a class one time while at Hanbu. And he also brought it up at his dojo specifically. And it was the talk about the use of Shuko themselves. Usually a lot of times when we use Shuko, we use them for catching swords, things like that. But also used for climbing. And it's rare when you see people practice actually using it to climb. One, it's either people are out of shape. Two, the Shuko aren't designed correctly. Three, they just hurt their hands, and people aren't used to it. So some of the things that's been, that Someya Sensei talked about, and this is stuff that's, gosh, he brought this up back in 2001? I think it was during the 2001 trip. He talked about the idea of, like, people don't realize, like, Shuko make noise. So when you think about the Shuko that we see, it's like bare bones. You got your metal band. You may have the cheap one's a nylon strap, and then a strap that goes around your wrist. Or you want live Shuko. You want that metal band with really long spikes sticking out of the palm. You want a thick leather piece so that a sword cannot cut through it. And you want a metal ring, okay, for the wrist. So when you have these things, what Someya Sensei was saying was that those were bare bones Shuko. Bare bones in the sense of there's other things to be added to Shuko, okay? One thing that always comes to mind is I remember old, I believe it was old Stephen Hayes photo in one of his old books. And I've seen some of the Daishihan back in the late 70s, early 80s, when you see them specifically, if you notice, specifically when they're doing training in the snow. And the idea of wearing Shuko. I don't know if you guys ever remember the photos. You'd have the white Shinobi Shozuku, and then you see the Shuko, and you notice the Shuko weren't black. They were wrapped in white fabric. This cut down on the coldness from the metal, but also the noise that the metal makes. We've been taught to, sometimes when you're not carrying Shuko, if you don't have a little bag on your hip that you can carry the Shuko, to put them on your suka for your sword while your sword is in your obi. Slide the rings over that, carry them that way. Well, guess what? What's going to happen? You're going to have a lot of clanking, a lot of noise. If you have them in a bag as is, you're going to have a lot of noise. So to cut down on that, what people don't seem to realize is that the Shuko were wrapped. You wrapped it with fabric. You wrapped it with something that would dampen the noise of the clanking around. Okay. And it's weird because that was back in the 70s and 80s. You saw these photos, but people still just use them as bare bones and think, oh, I can just climb a tree like that. I remember seeing one of Manaka Sensei's students climbing a tree, and when he did it with actual Shuko, he does it with thick workman gloves like you see at Home Depot. He had those on, and then the Shuko to climb the tree, and it worked quite effective. But the thing was, you're having to wear modern day work gloves to use the Shuko to climb. Whereas, what if you just put the leather on the Shuko? Okay, so I've got some leather that I use and cut some pieces like this, and I've glued them to the inside of the Shuko. These will, instead of having the metal on your hand in terms of the coldness, but also I made the leather a little bit thicker in terms of the width, so that when climbing, my hand won't be dug in with the metal in the back of my hand, for instance. It'll be padded with the leather itself. I'll show you a set here. Okay. So this is a set I just modified. Piece of paper there. I just modified here. Okay. So this one. Sorry, it's my dog. Ku, stop. It's Kusanagi, by the way. So this set here, I've taken a piece of leather like this, cut an appropriate length, and I've glued it in. So as you can see, it's thicker than the metal itself. Okay. Then I've glued in another piece like this in the palm. So this reinforces it. So this is a lot thicker leather. Okay. This will cure and set in about 24 hours. But if you notice, look at that. It stays up. Okay. And what's nice about that is, look, it's not going to hit it and clank against it. And it also gives you a tighter fit, a more snug fit on your hand. Now, I don't have, when you're digging, your hand is climbing, you're not having that metal cut into the back of your hand. You're having leather touching it, and it takes up some of that, spreads it out, spreads the surface area out. It makes it easier to climb, okay? And also when you're catching, itodori, when you're catching a sword, for instance, you now have this thick leather padding here, boom, to catch. You don't have to worry about your palm being cut. And also it's a thicker leather, boom, wider and thicker material, the material itself catching as you use this, okay? All right. So that's just one here, as you can see. Okay, I modified, okay? The other one I'm gonna show you here, I already did. So, of course, I went to my wife and I said, "Hon, I need some sheets." So she gave me a pillowcase, a white pillowcase. Here's what I was talking about. Now, I've yet to modify this one here with this part. You know, I will do that in a few minutes. But here, I'm just showing how I wrap the ring here. I cut it in strips, and then I wrap the Shuko. So now, this is padded here, so you won't have that. You should have the clanking around. Listen to that. You don't hear metal on metal going ding, 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 ding. It's quiet. So if I'm using these at night, it's quiet. So wrap your Shuko with fabric. You know, I don't know if there's a pattern for it or anything, but just wrap it. I wrapped mine and wrapped it around the ring, and it's quiet. You know? So this will be something I would do after I do this. You know? What's nice about that is, you think about it, you're camouflaging your Shuko for the environment that it's in. If you're going into a snow environment, here you go. If it's at nighttime, you can either go with a brown fabric, a indigo blue fabric. You can go black or any other dark, you know, material that might blend in that environment. If it's in a wooded environment, like I said, you can go brown. You can go with a dark green, for instance. You know, think of things like that. Okay, so don't think of Shuko as just as is, because you won't. Trust me, I've yet to see anybody like really climb with these as just metal. I don't do it because of how much it hurts my hand. But when I modified them to add leather in, like this, and then fabric, it works. So, and this was something, like I said, this is something I got from Someya Sensei. You know, I've been wanting to talk about it for years, and I just kept forgetting. You know, I finally got a good pair of Shuko from a fellow Daishihan, and it's just, these are amazing, by the way. I love them, and I am able to climb with these. Okay, I'll show in a video probably later, maybe tomorrow. I might do a video tomorrow at the local park climbing with these on. We'll see. Okay, but yeah. So just think about it. If you have Shuko, live Shuko, cover them up. Whether you're wrapping them up with fabric or, you know, putting leather on and then wrapping them up with fabric. Okay? Do that. Camouflage your tools just like you would camouflage your body. Okay? It would be the same thing if it was modern day. If you're a sniper, you yourself are not just camouflage, your rifle's camouflage, your tools are camouflage. It goes the same for these. There's no difference. Okay? All right. Chris Cowan from the Bujinkan Bitoku Dojo signing off. Have a good night.